Good evening and welcome to the Friday Forecast. I'm your host, Mr. Friday Night, Chris Brack. Yes, it's still a thing. I'm going to keep this going until it gets over. And tonight I am joined by the very happy Pete Selby, who's... we'll come to that in a minute. The always happy and positive Avy. Avy, how are we?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Bracky, for having me on.
Here we go.
And we've got Matt, who is sort of smiling, so, it's all right.
I've been told not to smile, so I won't be smiling.
Well, it's all right. It's your natural demeanour, so, nothing will change. How are we all, gents, anyway?
Terrible.
Good. What's wrong with you now? What's wrong with you, Matt? The cup final was last weekend. It's a new weekend. Look forward to it.
Yeah, and we're about to lose to the already relegated team. Come on.
Oh, look. Does this remind you of Liverpool in the 90s? Do you remember all this, Abby? We used to have these chats about everything.
Hodgson, Souness, Evans. We've seen this all, Matt. You weren't even born, Matt, I think, during the... What year were you born? 96, 97?
2000.
Fucking hell.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, mind my language. Sorry, guys. Still a nipper, innit? Still a nipper. There's a few things that Pete was doing in 2000, but we'll leave that for another time.
2000 was a year. Oh my word! I remember the millennium. Not anyway.
Year of the millennium.
That's a different pod. That's a different podcast.
We might bring that later. What did Pete do over the millennium? But we'll leave that for later. So, Pete, before we start, 1-1. How are we feeling about it?
Well, not good, really. You're basically playing against a side who you beat 9-0 last season, and then they have a man sent off just like they did last season, really early. And it's very easy when you only take a point from these games to look at the complete negative side. But if we score that free kick after 12 minutes, then there's a likelihood we could have gone and won that 6-7-0. Didn't happen. They deserved to get a point, Southampton. So fair play to them. I like to look at run of games in 3. You win 2 home games, you draw away from home. Overall, you've got to be happy, but ultimately it's disappointing, isn't it? No matter what happens in the game, if side you play goes down to 10 men after 10 minutes or so, and they had chances. Vardy should have scored late on, but what are you going to do?
What was your opinion on the red card? It looked a bit harsh.
It's strange because I think it's been given for bringing Vardy down because he could have reached the ball even though the defender touched the ball away from him. I think overall it is difficult because if he's gave it for foul play, if he's gave it for violent play, then you've gone through on the player and it's awkward because it has caught him. So on the back of the West Ham player being sent off for kicking the ball and following through hardly, really, then it's going to be a red card. But if it's a red card for Vardy being brought down through on goal, it's a very difficult decision. So some will say it's a red card and some will say it's not. So I think there'll be probably more in the not, but I don't think it's going to be the worst red card decision of the season. So
might not be the worst red card of this weekend, let's be fair.
Probably not.
Anything's possible. Right. So as we mentioned in our Discord group, what we're going to do is we'll do the usual predictions that we always do. And then this is where the fun will start. The 4 of us are going to pick a Premier League 11, but you're only allowed a maximum of 1 player from any club. So as you can imagine, this is going to cause some bits of a debate, like does a Tottenham player get in? But we'll come to that later. So first, I know started early. Okay, first game. Let's go with another team that humbled Liverpool. It's not very difficult these days. Newcastle against Arsenal, who, to be fair, got a good 2. I know they lost in Europe, but a 2-1 loss with 10 men. I don't think it actually is the worst result. So, Pete, how are we seeing this?
I think with all the teams we've played in Europe, when you look at the fact that they've got to play in Europe again, it's all or nothing for Arsenal, isn't it? I think it was a very good defeat. I completely agree with you. The tie could have been over.
Ooh, lost you there, Pete.
It's volume. Everyone's got some sound problems today.
Yeah, you still there, Pete?
I'm still there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go on. Keep going.
And that was Arsenal basically phoning up. That was Arteta just saying like, look, we're going to really, really go for it at St James's Park. I think, to be perfectly honest, this game has got a very grind out Newcastle home win written all over it for me. Purely on the basis of the fact that Arsenal are going to be just fully for this game midweek. I know even if they rest a number of players, they've still got the talent to beat Newcastle. But I think Newcastle, in the last few weeks, Sam Maximan is just such an important player for them. And I just think he's going to be so up for this game. And I really do fancy Newcastle. I think they're fairly solid side. I think they've always been fairly solid, even when they've not been playing well. And losing games. They've not exactly been annihilated by sides. So I just think you've got the classic case this weekend, and I think it's going to be repeated with a number of games of one side needing to win against another side who either appear to be on the beach or have eyes firmly on European ties. So I'm going to go with a home win, only a narrow home win, maybe just 1-0, but it's going to be that man, Sir Maximan, again. He's going to have his dancing shoes on.
Yeah, Stephen Duffy agrees. He also has a 1-0 Newcastle. Matt, how are you seeing this?
I agree with a lot of what Peter said there. I think it was a decent defeat for Arsenal midweek, especially getting that red card and being 2-0 down as well. I think Villarreal will regret letting that penalty slip as well. But I think you can tell a lot about the mentality in that Arsenal team. Did you see the post-match interview Bukayo Saka did, where he said, on our day we can beat anyone, and you saw that today, and they're after losing the game 2-1. But I think that tells you all you need to know about that Arsenal camp. But Newcastle, they're safe now. 9 points clear that relegation zone. I think for a lot of the season, they didn't think they were going to be in this position going into the last month or so. And I feel there will be an added bit of freedom inside in that team. And with St. Maximan as well coming back into that team recently, I think Callum Wilson's back in there too. There'll be a lot more positivity, I suppose, in that Newcastle team. Not as much pressure on them. And for Arsenal, maybe tired after that long night in Villarreal, looking ahead to that tie on Thursday as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they rotate. Like looking at that table, they're 9 points off any European spot as well. So I doubt they'll be too pushed with getting a result in the Premier League. So I think it could be a bit of a dead rubber. Maybe Newcastle's positivity balancing out with Arsenal, the bit of class they do have in there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a 1-1 draw on this one.
1-1 draw, good. Mega McKellen has got 3-2 Newcastle. Flipping heck. I hope that's right, Megan. I'll be made up with that. Avi, how are we seeing this?
Yeah, I think in terms of the league, I think it's gone for Arsenal now. I don't think they're playing for nothing really. So I think they put all the eggs into one basket against Villarreal for the home leg next week. So which I think they will beat and go through to the final. Even amidst all this mess amongst their fans and the ownership, I think Arteta will do a number on Emery next week and get them to the final. I see this as a draw. I know Newcastle have hit a bit of good form and Maximan's back, but Arsenal do still need a bit of momentum going into Thursday. So I fancy a score draw. I'm going to go with 2-2.
Oh, you read my mind. I also have 2-2, but I don't think they'll go through in Europe. I think Emery will show tactical nous, which I don't think Arteta has, is my opinion. But let's face it, they're just playing for who gets whacked by United in the final. So it's not exactly a final you want to be in at the moment. Right, Saturday, we've got Crystal Palace, who clearly have their flip-flops on, against City, who got a very impressive 2-1 win away at PSG. My only criticism of City was, I think at 2-1 against 10 men, I'm surprised they didn't put the foot on the throat and make it 3-1, because I think at 3-1, I think that kills the tie completely. Avi, come back to you.
Routine City win. I think City will win. We'll talk about the United and Liverpool game in a bit, but I think this will be the weekend where City win the league.
I think you might be right. What score are you going?
2-0. 2-0 City. Another clean sheet for them and routine 2-0, yeah.
Cool. Right, I have 3-0 City because they'll probably just put their bench players on in Aguero and Jesus, and that probably will be enough to beat Palace, in fairness. Matt, how are you seeing this?
City are just they're the best team I think I've ever seen in the Premier League. The way they're playing at the moment, they're absolutely sensational.
God.
And
that's a shocker. Absolute fucking shocker is that there. Absolute shocker. The best team you've ever seen in
the way they're playing at the moment.
No,
yes.
The way they're playing at the moment.
Come on.
The City team.
Seriously?
Come on.
The City team of 2 years ago played better football than this.
Not the way they played all season. The way they're playing at the moment in the last month or so.
The way they're playing at the moment.
Guys, to be fair to him, he has said the best he has seen. He was born in 2000.
I'm going to say this is a 2000 kid. You know what I mean? He's missing out.
It's only really 8-9 years of watching football. Can I get to my prediction now, please, guys? If you don't mind.
No, we're enjoying bullying you.
Okay, yeah. Everywhere I go. City are absolutely sensational. They're unbelievable. Like watching them in that cup final last Sunday. From a Spurs point of view, we were terrible, but City, absolutely everything was on point. Their team press, the way they were passing, their intricate play in and around the box, they are sensational. And to go to PSG, look, I agree with Abby. Once Idrissa Gana Gueye got sent off, perhaps you would have expected City to to go and get that third, maybe even a fourth with the way that game was going. After a poor first half, they come out in that second half and were absolutely incredible. You know, the likes of Ruben Diaz back there in the last couple of weeks has kept Kane, Haaland and Mbappe all completely quiet. They are utterly incredible. And I think, look, they will rotate with that PSG game in mind as well, but Palace are in trouble here. And I've gone for 3-0 as well.
Cool. The other thing I would say about City's second half was impressive. And this is not me being salty, but there are 2 goalkeeping mistakes, especially the first one, which gets them ahead. And
I wouldn't say the second one is a goalkeeping mistake.
I think a top keeper saves that.
Through the wall, though?
No, Edison saves that. I can't see it.
Keep out of shocker there. Keep out of shocker.
I also not say that, but you wouldn't think you'd say about PSG. If their strikers could shoot, they should have been 3-0 at half time. They cut City open quite a few times, which is why I'm surprised City didn't put the foot on the throat, because you are giving PSG a slight glimmer of hope. But I do think City showed too much naivety. PSG showed a lot of naivety at 2-1. Anyway, back to Pete.
It's a proper game next week. It's going to be a fabulous tie to watch. But like this game against Palace, I'm sorry, Palace. They've got to the end of the season with a squad who virtually to a man are pretty much out of contract. It's unbelievable how they've got this far, whether the manager's going to be there or not. So I think they've done okay to get to this stage without kind of collapsing. I know they're a very solid side, but I think this game, it's quite easy to turn around and go, Man City are going to change their side. They're going to have a look at European time the week, as we've been saying with the previous game. That all does apply, but it doesn't with Manchester City, because the reserves that they bring in are not reserves at all. They're not. So I think this could be a bit of a hiding, to be honest, because you've got a team who are flying, a team who can win the league, and a team also with players who want to play in a potential Champions League final. Whether they're going to be playing on Wednesday or Tuesday, whenever the second leg is, we'll wait and see. I'm going to go for 5. I'm going to go for a big 5-0 away win.
5.
It wouldn't surprise you, would it? Just out of curiosity with Palace, if this is Hodgson's last season, because I can't remember if his contract runs out this summer or next summer, if he was to leave, who do you think Palace should get? Who do you think they will get? Because I don't think they're always the same thing.
I think there was a little bit of chat regarding someone like Dyche, because it depends on what they can offer. That's the thing with Palace. If they can offer a manager, a Premier League club who are just going to stay in the kind of Palace region of the Premier League, or they're going to offer a new manager a bit of a wedge of money, and also Zaha and Eze say stay in, and a solid side, because at the end of the day, Crystal Palace, if the majority of the players remain, they're a solid Premier League side who probably won't be involved in any relegation fight if they stick together. But if they're not, if it's just going to be the same old Palace, then they could take a risk on a new manager from maybe down in the Championship. I just don't think they will. I think they'll try and get someone who's been there and done it.
Mourinho?
Someone like Dyche would be interesting if they get money pumped into the club. But this time, the way things are going in the football world, I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think they'll go more solid than kind of gamble with someone from the lower leagues or someone young.
They've tried this. They've tried this, haven't they? With when they bought De Boer, didn't they? They tried to, deviate from another style and try to play on the ground and stuff, and it didn't work. He lost his first 5-6 games, and they gave him the chop. I think if they do, if it is Hodgson's last season, Thomas Frank from Brentford could be an outside shout. I really think he's doing wonders at Brentford. Great with youngsters. He's got a few youngsters to work with at Palace. I think that would be a good stepping stone for him.
The other shouts to shout, we've had Eddie Howe. I have a theory in Eddie Howe. I think he's the new Alan Kirbishley now. I think he might not work in football again, but he'll get linked to every job that's coming. Another one is Chris Wilder. This could be an interesting one. He's got to go somewhere. So, whether that... But the talk is of Chris Wilder to Celtic is the other one. What was that noise that came out of you there?
No, the last one's brilliant. Ted Lasso would be perfect for Palace. Amazing.
Cool. Matt, who would you go for?
For Palace?
Yes, that's the question.
Oh, I mean, there's just no managers out there at the moment, is there? Like none that you can actually kind of get excited about. And look, I know Palace aren't at the level where they'd be looking for a manager to get them into Europe or whatever, but
you better get in there quick, or they might nick the one you want.
Who do we want?
no one knows. So Palace could be shopping in the same market.
Oh, it's the biggest nightmare, really. I think Eddie Howe could be a good fit for
Lampard.
Good shout. Good
Can you
shout.
imagine Lampard? That would just piss off 2 fan bases, wouldn't it?
Ain't he being groomed for the under-21s job there? For the England
Yeah.
under-21s? Because Boothroyd's gone, isn't he? Bothroyd, whatever.
Just they need another tactical genius in the 23s because it's worked so well so far. Oh dear.
What about Southgate for Palace?
Oh.
He's Spurs, isn't he? Spurs all the way, isn't he?
Him and
Trying to get him away,
him and Ramsdale at Spurs next season. Mark my words.
You
Just
will
think
never
that-
see me in a Spurs jersey ever again if we have Southgate and Ramsdale at our club next season.
No, if you get Southgate, I guarantee we'll see you in a Spurs waistcoat, saying Spurs for life, and you've said they're going, I've got my waistcoat. You know, they'll do.
Do you know what?
They'll do tons of them.
Everyone goes on about this waistcoat, and he's only got it because he doesn't have a personality. Like it's not like
we know. Everyone knows that's why it's funny. So, but that'll be Levy's big marketing tactic is we get Southgate and we'll sell loads of Spurs waistcoats, and it wouldn't surprise you, would it?
not at all. It honestly wouldn't. I got my banner up today. Enoch out. I'm not backing down.
Is that Joe Lewis, isn't it?
Yeah, Joe Lewis and his lot. Them out in their yachts in Florida.
You'll be able to find the waistcoats alongside the Carabao Cup finalist key rings as well.
Pete, you're supposed to be the nice one.
Sorry,
You're supposed to be the nice one. Like,
oh no, see, Pete's a smiling assassin. He just sits there very quietly, smiles, but actually, he's quite brutal when he gets going. That's what I like about him.
They are fantastic. I mean, end of the day, Leicester have brought out a whole range of stuff for the FA Cup final. So again, give it a few weeks, and that's all going to be thrown back in my face. Potentially.
Oh yeah, look, we had it.
crossed.
We had it with this. We've had it with the Europa League final. We had it with the Madrid final. There's loads of them still knocking around. You know, it's the risk you're taking it. Right, quick fire ones. Brighton versus Leeds, which I think will be quite an entertaining game. What are you going for, Avy?
It's a game that I'll actually like to watch because it's Potter ball versus Bielsa ball, isn't it? So it'd be a good game. I think it'll be quite open. Actually, I'm going to go with the 3-1 Leeds. Actually,
3-1 Leeds. Matt, what have you got for this one?
I've got 1-0 Leeds.
1-0 Leeds. Pete?
I've gone completely the opposite way. I think it's actually going to be quite a tight game. I think with Leeds lacking Rafinha, I think that's a big miss. I'm going to go for a draw 1-1, but I won't be surprised if it's goalless.
Cool. I've got 2-0 to Leeds because Brighton, you can just never guarantee they're going to score a goal. And the other quick fire question: London derby, Chelsea versus Fulham. Pete, I'll stick with you.
I think that's just going to be a routine standard win for Chelsea. I think Fulham are pretty much down now. I think it's going to be a 2-0 win to Chelsea, which I know is a popular Chelsea scoreline at home, but a 2-0 win and bye-bye Fulham.
Oh. Hey, but Scott Parker could be the next Spurs manager. What do you think, Matt? He's the other one that was linked, I believe.
way too early.
Don't want Scott Parker. No. Any of the links in the Premier League that are happening, no. The only manager I take from the Premier League right now, realistically, is Bielsa, but it probably won't happen.
You wouldn't say Pep?
Realistically. I put that word in there on purpose. I don't want Parker, don't want Potter. Don't want any of them.
Oh, right, okay. What score did you say, sorry, mate? I wasn't listening.
Game of the week for me, 4-2.
4-2.
Chelsea.
Lovely. Nice. Avi, what have you got?
Yeah, I'm going. I fancy Scott Parker to go back to his stomping ground and get something. Yeah, I'm going to go with the 1-1.
1-1?
I'm going to go with the 1-1. Yeah.
I've gone with a routine 2-0. Okay, and last quick fire one. Spurs against Sheffield United. Avi. Is this going to be a Ramsdale masterclass?
Ramsdale's going to have a renaissance in this game. He's playing for the move, isn't he, to Spurs, isn't he? He's playing for his move, isn't he? So,
oh, God, you set him up.
I'm going to go with the 4-1 Spurs. And just to shout out to Ryan Mason, and I said it last week, it's great that he's been given these last sort of 5-6 games, and hope it works out for the fella because he had a nasty injury. So it's great to see him back on the dugout. 4-1 Spurs.
Cool. Pete?
Yeah, along the same wavelength. It would be quite easy to... Are they going to get something at Spurs? Can they get something? I know they're down in size, normally have that upturning form. No is the answer because they're just not very good. They've got a goalkeeper with short arms. It's going to be a long day, I think, for him. And I can see 4 as well, but I can't see them scoring. I'm going to go 4-0 Spurs.
Good. I have 3-1 Spurs. Matt, what have you got?
Just want to say, first of all, Pete is back in my good books for slagging Aaron Ramsdale. I've gone 3-0 Spurs. Patrick Harry
3-0.
Kane. Then he'll stay and lift Champions League next season.
He's the T-Rex
will
of the goalkeeping world. He's got really short arms.
You haven't seen Jordan Pickford.
Be nice.
Pickford's a close second. That is true.
What a battle! What a fight that would be. You wouldn't be able to get the reach with you, I suppose. While we're on Spurs, jokes aside, who do you think you'll get as manager, and who do you want realistically? Because it sounds like as the Ajax manager signed an extension. I mean, admittedly, that could be just to increase the buyout for him.
It looks like Spurs actually pulled out of those negotiations, which is baffling me. I personally wouldn't have taken Ten Hag, and I probably wouldn't have been overly excited about Ten Hag or Nagelsmann or anything like that, because I feel like we bring in a rebuild manager and we can kiss goodbye to Harry Kane, Tuchel, Toby Alderweireld, even Heung-min Son, those players who have been here for so long. If they don't get a trophy, I think a rebuild manager is them gone. So I wouldn't lean towards that side of things. I'm really struggling to find someone that I can genuinely get excited about, because there's been talks about Christophe Galtier, Ralph Rangnick. They're good options, but I feel like even the best option of the bunch that are available, it's like kind of he'll do, rather than someone go he can come in, he might buy him, he can do this, he can do that. I honestly couldn't tell you who would end up with.
Would you take Rafa Benitez?
He has been mentioned.
He has been. I take him, but I wouldn't be excited about it. I just don't want us to end up giving Mason a job permanently. You know, as much as I love him, a Spurs man through and through, he's just not ready for it. And I think he showed that a lot on Sunday. I don't want it anyhow. I don't want a Potter, a Scott Parker. I just don't know. I honestly thought it was going to be Ten Hag, and I was shocked, absolutely shocked that Spurs pulled out of those negotiations. I don't know what reason we could possibly have for that, but I haven't a clue, honestly.
Did you think you say about making Harry Kane stay? I was watching True Geordie's show, The Kickoff, and they had a bit of a debate about where would Harry Kane go, say if he left Spurs. And the natural reaction everyone says is he'll go to City United. And they had the City fan and a United fan on there, and they both went, well, City, and it sounds funny, City don't spend that level of money. I think what he means is City don't spend £100 million on players. They buy lots of players for like 50, 60. That's kind of their model.
Yeah.
And the United fan was a bit like, he did great for us, do Van Persie, but they were also like, would we do that much money on a Kane? Now I thought they might, United, because he'd be like the Van Persie Mark II. But I'm trying to think who else could afford Kane. That might be the get out clause you got, is he's got a long contract. Because let's be clear, Liverpool ain't going to be able to afford him. If Liverpool wanted him,
he's 28 now, isn't he? 28.
28, yeah.
He's 28. Look, but that's the thing. Like, he's 3 years left in his contract. Grand, as much as he might want to go, what clubs out there are going to spend upwards of £150 million on a 28-year-old injury-prone striker, especially when someone like Erling Braut Haaland is available? And you mentioned PSG. They got Mbappe and Neymar. Do they really need Harry Kane? Unless they lose one of those, then you can imagine Poch going for a reunion. But
I can't see Kane going to the French league.
That as well.
If that was an option for him.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see buying him, because obviously they've got Lewandowski. I know he can't go on forever.
It's about, but with the manager, it's all about the players. It's all about Kane. If Kane's going, if the deal's done, if he's going to go in the summer, then the manager that they bring in is a rebuild job, because other players might go. It might be even time, from an outsider's point of view, for Spurs to maybe look at the side. You look at the goalkeeper and one or two players who I know are first teamers, but is it time for the shake-up? Is it time to actually go, do you know what? It's time to actually take 100 million for Harry Kane and bring in a bit of youth in the side, or just a bit of a rejig round with a new manager. That could be the case, rather than bring in, say, a Benitez to then work with the players that they've already got. Sometimes it could, you need a big change. So I think it's just all down to Kane. If Kane stays, I can see them getting an established manager in for that one season if he's going to stay for another season. But if not, why not just sweep the board and press reset?
Yeah, I mean, I know you don't like them, Matt, but I always thought Arsenal should have gone for a Benitez, but give them a very clear, you're here for 2 to 3 years. Your job is to get the club set up for whether it is Arteta or the more expansive manager, but get us established as a top 4 side, consistent in Europe. We'll pay you a certain amount. I mean, fair to Rafa, he loves a nutter owner anyway, so he'll fit in fine at most clubs. But you tell him very clearly, you've got 2-3 years. This is what you do, and get on with it. And he probably kind of do that, to be honest. But I don't think the talk of Kane leaving you is perhaps a done deal as people think. I generally can't think who's really going to pay the money. Because I do think for City, if they're going to spend 90 million or 100 million that it costs to get Kane, they'll buy Haaland because he's like a young Kane.
They'll get more than 100.
Yeah.
Levi will get more than 100.
But you know what I mean? The money you're going to spend on Kane, you could buy Haaland probably for less. And he's got 5 years more in him. So
all this talk though about Harry Kane, it's not, who can afford him or who would he like to go to. People need to start asking the question, does he want to leave Spurs? Because he's spoken about it a lot. Like he sees his full career at Spurs. And even Ryan Mason was quoted today saying he doesn't think we need Champions League football to keep Harry Kane at the club. And no one is going to know, not many people are within the club are going to know Kane better than Ryan Mason does. And like not every player's goal and objective is to win as many leagues, Champions Leagues as they can. Look at Alan Shearer. Best Premier League striker ever statistically. Yes, he had that Premier League crown earlier in his career, but throughout his time at Newcastle, had so many opportunities to go even to Sir Alex Ferguson's Man United, and that just wasn't the way he wanted to bring his career. And you're looking at Harry Kane, something like 50 goals behind Jimmy Greaves' record at Spurs. Is he the 7th or 8th leading Premier League goal scorer? He has the chance to be that statue in front of that brand new stadium. He has a chance to become Tottenham's greatest ever player. It could be more to him than that.
I think, Matt, it's a fair point. Like Letizia could have played for any of the top sides in the Premiership, but with Kane, you feel the goals that he's scored and the goals that he will score if he stays at Spurs and they don't win anything, it will be like a nothing career. Okay, he'll beat Jimmy Greaves' record. Great goal scoring, great record to surpass. But a player of that deserves trophies. Okay, Alan Shearer went to Newcastle. He's a Geordie guy, Geordie fan, wanting to go back to Newcastle. Fair enough, right? But when he joined Newcastle, they were on the cusp of winning the league. Unfortunately, the management getting rid of Keegan and then Dalglish came in. Huller, it didn't work out. But Harry Kane deserves trophies, and I'm saying that as a Liverpool fan. He deserves to be playing in European Cup finals, to be contending, to be in contention for a Premiership title. So it is ambition, but I think a player like that deserves to have honours next to his goal scoring record too.
You also got to look at, we're on about the manager as well. You've got to take into account that Spurs might actually hire a manager, and Harry Kane then turns around and goes, "Do you know what? I'm not kind of okay with this." I'm pretty sure they'll have a chat with him first, but it might not work out, and we could get to the end part of the summer transfer window, and all of a sudden a move happens. Personally, I would see Man City as an obvious destination ahead of Haaland, because I know he's got injury record, but you're guaranteed. Essentially, if Harry Kane goes to Man City, that's the Premier League next season. You're guaranteed the Premier League really with him if he stays reasonably fit. So I think that the managerial appointment by Spurs is one of the biggest that they'll make, or going to have to make in the last, say, 6 years or so, purely because you've got your star player, and it's not just the star player; it's arguably the best player in the league, who might leave on the back of a wrong appointment. It's a really big appointment for them to make. You can't get it wrong,
and we will.
More than likely.
Right. on that chipper note, let's go to the late night Saturday game, Everton versus Villa, which over the years Everton Villa has always been a pretty decent game. Avi, how are you seeing this one?
I think it's gonna be two teams that'll cancel each other out. Villa, so many words can be said about Villa and Dean Smith. I really like Dean Smith, and I wax lyrical over him. I think he's a really good manager, and he's got them consolidated this season. Everton, just when you think that they're going on a run, Ancelotti pulls out a howler in team selections, and they lose the odd game, against lesser opposition. I can see this being a draw. I fancy Villa to score early and then Everton to get one late on. But yeah, 1-1.
1-1. Cool. Pete?
I was going to go for a draw, but the more I think about it, Everton just getting a few players back. James Rodriguez coming back in, and Michael Keane apparently is going to be back in. So I'm just going to sway to Everton. I think Villa, they are a funny team without Grealish. They are a funny team. Still solid, but very unspectacular. I just think Everton are just going to have too much. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to the Toffees.
Okay, cool. Matt?
I agree with a lot of what Avi said there. I think it could be a game where it is just kind of both teams cancelling each other out. And Villa, even with Grealish, I think they're so weird. They're so inconsistent. They can go out and obviously beat Liverpool 7-2 one day. Just wanted to remind you that they beat you 7-2, and they can go out another day and they could lose to anybody in the league. And Everton, a lot of quality in there. Obviously James, Calvert-Lewin, that midfield is so strong with Alan. I don't know, is Decore fit? But it just feels to me like a game that neither team will really actually go out and manage to take the game by the scruff of the neck. I think it could be kind of both teams just kind of playing through to the last minute. I'm not sure why it just feels like a nothing game, even though, look, Everton still do have the potential to get in Europe, but I can't imagine it's going to be anything spectacular, and I'd have to say 1-1 as well.
1-1, okay. Kev's got 3-2 to Villa. Lots of 1-1s in this I've seen. I have 2-2 for this. I think they'll they'll just about cancel each other out. But I'm actually looking forward to that game because Everton Villa over the years has always been quite an entertaining game. Everton's home record gives Villa a bit of hope, but obviously they're like a Grealish, gives Everton a great opportunity because we know what they're like. So, right, 2 more quick fire games. The Midlands derby, West Brom against Wolves. As Paul from this parish would say, this is the one to set you to sleep. So I'll give this for you, Pete, because I can tell you're dying for this one.
Oh dear. I mean, to be honest, it's difficult to talk about it without bringing up a little bit of sick. It's going to be a boring 0-0 draw. It's horrendous. West Brom, fair play. They've got 1 or 2 players who I think will be Premier League players next season, but they won't be wearing the boiler shirts of West Brom. It's going to be a dull 0-0 because Wolves, on the back of being given a kicking by Chris Wood, I think they're going to shut up shop and get back to the Wolves that we know and being very tight at the back. This has got dreadful 0-0 written all over it.
Dreadful 0-0. Okay, what have we got here? Rajiv has got 2-1 to West Brom, and we got Naguib has got 1-0 to Wolves. So no one's going great, apart from Kev Paul, who's got 5-5 for the fans. Oh, so God, Kev, that'd be brilliant. Matt?
Look, terrible result for Wolves last week. I don't think anyone will deny that. I don't know what happened in the game. I wasn't watching it. I haven't even seen highlights or anything, but to be beaten 4-0 by Burnley is an absolute embarrassment. And I feel as though there will be a bit of a bit of fight to try and make that right and go out and maybe get the 3 points in this one. Quality players in that side, some not to the level they could have been this season, but I think they will have too much for a West Brom team that are gone. So I'll say 2-1 Wolves. 2-1
Wolves. Avi?
It's a nightcap game for you boys, isn't it? Back home. So it's going to be dreadful. Wolves, since Jimenez has been injured, they haven't got any rhythm. I think Nuno needs a bit of a refresh this summer, needs a good break. Yeah, I should have passed on this, but 0-0.
0-0.
Absolute dross.
I've got 2-1 West Brom because they're probably in a bit of better form than Wolves, but I can't say it's a game I'll be watching. As Red Steve puts, last on match of the day, you're absolutely bang on with that. And then, so a game which I don't know if it will be exciting or not, Burnley against West Ham, which could be an intriguing one. Avi, go back to you.
Yeah. Burnley again, Dyche, consolidated them, kept them up again with a limited budget. I think I keep saying this every Friday forecast now. Chris Wood, a very underrated player, Chris Wood. And I like their shape. They're not going to be the most exciting to watch, but I like Dyche with what he's got, right? He sticks to his methods with a team like Burnley. I think if he had a better team, no disrespect to Burnley or their fans, but if he had a top 10 team, he might be more sort of inventive in the way he approaches games. But I fancy Burnley here. I really do. I think Kevin Ball's put it up. 1-0 Burnley, yeah.
1-0 Burnley. Matt?
I think West Ham put themselves right back in the mix for that Champions League football. Burnley, they're so inconsistent. It's the fact that they won last week and won so comfortably makes me feel like they'll come out and play their worst game of the season this week. And with the quality in that West Ham side and the way they have this chance now for Champions League football, which hasn't happened for so long, and it may not happen for so long again. I think they'll come into this one all guns blazing. I think Lingard goal and assist or something like that. I can see them running out 2-0 winners.
2-0 winners.
Have you got any other injured players back though? That's my always worry with West Ham.
I think Declan Rice is still out, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I think so. Pete?
Yeah, I think that might be just swaying it towards the draw for me. I think if it was a fully fit flying Hammers, I would more than likely go for them with Lingardinho up top. I think with Burnley, I think that you're completely right in what you say. With on the back of a good win, they're probably the one side in the Premier League where you would fancy them not to actually follow it up. But when they're on a huge losing run, you'd actually then fancy him to turn up for one game and do a number like they did. The strange side, Chris Wood, former Leicester player, one of only 6 players to have scored 10 Premier League goals in the last 4 seasons. Really consistent player. He just didn't have the mobility really to kind of make it at a club who want to try and move the ball around like Leicester would try to do at the time. I'm going to go for a draw. I think there's just too much really on it for West Ham, and I think that's in a bad way. I think it might just play on their mind slightly. I'm going to go for 1-1. So Hammer's not out of the European picture, but I'm going to go for 1-1. I think ultimately they'll probably drop out of it with the last few games of the season. But a draw for me.
Cool. I have 2-1 to Burnley. So that's what I've got. Right, bit of housekeeping. So we're still on the race to 10K. So if you like what we do, please tell family, please tell friends, subscribe. When we get to 10K, we will give away a PlayStation 5 with FIFA 21. So there's another incentive for you. Pete's already subscribed. And also our website is live, so lfcdt.com. So again, check out the website. It has links to the shows. And if you want to write an article for the show, the link is there for you to submit it. Literally all we do, apart from spell checking it, make sure it's legible, we'll put it up. It doesn't have to be about Liverpool. It could be about anything to do with football or sport or whatever you want to write.
Some great articles, by the way, too. Superb articles. Superb.
And the only advice I'll give people is if you're interested in breaking into journalism, the biggest thing I've ever heard from people who want to break into journalism is get your work out there. So people say, what do you write? Say, I've got stuff that's on this blog or stuff that's on that website. It gives you the opportunity. And let's face it, we're not going to critique you, and there's been some really interesting stuff in there. And finally, the link's in the description below. Join our Discord group. It is hopping at the moment, and we're getting lots of great ideas, for the thing we're doing later. I had some great teams come through what people think should be team of the year with the rules we put around it. So, and also it's a good way of giving us new ideas for shows, and also it's a good way for us to get feedback. So, good or bad, we're big boys. If we get feedback, then we know how to improve the show and make it better for you guys. Right, Avy, the big game. Man United smashed Roma 6-2. Liverpool drew at home to Newcastle, drew away to Leeds, lost 6 at home. It's going well. We're loving life. So what we'll do is we'll let Pete talk about it while you go and have a cry. Right, Pete, leave you to it.
Well, the ideal scenario would have been me on tonight saying Leicester have applied scoreboard pressure to the chasing sides like Liverpool, who now need to go to Old Trafford to win because of the gap of 10 points or whatever. That's obviously now out the window. So this should be a bit of a skip in the step of the Liverpool players, but it's not exactly a side that's brimming with confidence. I thought the way that they collapsed against Newcastle, and they did really, that last 10 minutes was shocking. Physically as well as mentally, they just looked completely gone.
Leeds as well.
Very odd. Yeah, it was really strange how that happened. And against a United side who aren't exactly the greatest second place team in Premier League history since the year 2000, obviously. I still think they're United on the back of that win in Europe. I think this has got again, go back to the old adage, you got games in Europe, you look forward to them, maybe take your eye off the game in the Premier League. I don't think that's the case absolutely whatsoever. I think that win in Europe is going to really push United forward, and I can see this being a really, really entertaining game, which is something that's not happened between these two sides for an awful long time from a neutral's point of view. I think United ultimately will have too much. Liverpool are going to have to come out and they're going to have to try and win this game. There's no doubt about it. Are they going to play with the 4 forwards, which I believe was the case against Newcastle? We've
only won one game when we played all 4 forwards this season.
I just can't see it happening. It's going to be mightily interesting to see the team news, but I think whoever United play, and I don't think they'll rest players. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think they're going to play their strongest team, and the one player who has been woefully out of form in the last 10 games, and something we'll probably talk about in the final 20 minutes of the show, Bruno Fernandes, all of a sudden hitting a little bit of form as well. Finally, the forwards start banging some goals in as well. I just think it's got all the hallmarks of a great game, but ultimately United win. I think they're going to want to be the side that put another nail in the coffin of Liverpool's Champions League attempt in the league. So I think it's going to be a home win, and it's going to be a 3-1 win. And in terms of any goal scorer prediction or anything, I think it could get really tasty. I think this could really get tasty because I'm not saying they're drinking at Last Chance Saloon, but if they are losing in this game, I think Liverpool players might think that because it's the way they've been playing recently. So I'm going to go for a home win, unfortunately, for Liverpool fans. But there we go. It's what I can see from my neutral point of view. Obviously wanting the home win for Leicester's, but there you go.
That's fine. I've seen amazingly some 2-1s Liverpool. 2-1 Liverpool, 2-1 United. I mean, I can't remember the last time we scored 2. I can remember many times conceded 2, but not scored 2. Matt, look, I'll give my opinion in a minute, but, you know, Liverpool's record at Old Trafford is shite, I think is the technical term for it. So I don't even need your stats to tell me that. I knew that off the top of my head.
Well, I've been told not to bring stats, so you won't be getting any from me. But look, aside from the Spurs game, I honestly, and this isn't a dig, I think this is the second easiest game of the weekend to call. Everything is leaning towards United winning this one. And look, I don't think it's going to be comfortable. You know, I don't think they're going to go out and do what they did to Roma or what they did to so many other teams this season. But like Pete said, with Bruno Fernandes hitting a bit of form, Edinson Cavani aging like a fine wine is absolutely incredible. Some of the stuff he played during the week. Paul Pogba back in form as well. Even that defence is looking somewhat solid. I know conceded 2 against Roma, won a very, very dodgy penalty. But it's just everything seems to be coming together for United. And look, they're not going to be winning that Premier League. City are obviously going to lift that crown. But I think they've got a lot of momentum now, and they're going to want to keep that going into that second leg against Roma next week. And I think Liverpool, I know that someone say Fabinho wasn't going to be playing in midfield. I think there's just a lot of worries there for Liverpool. I can't see you getting into those Champions League spots, and I feel as though a 2-1 win for United on Sunday could be the thing that finalises that.
Yeah, I mean, Avi, we've seen quite a few saying no Fab midfield will be our downfall, which to a certain point, I get people's point why they said they want Fab midfield. He's brilliant, so we know he is brilliant, with the exception of probably Madrid away, which is probably his worst performance at Liverpool. But realistically, then you look at Reece James or the hologram playing at the back with Kabak, and quite frankly, Reece James. Look, I don't want to dig a young guy out. He's not ready.
Reece Williams.
Sorry,
The hologram. Sorry, the hologram.
The hologram. I'll come to the hologram.
Ramsdale's in your defence.
Oh,
yes, come on.
Pete's getting banned now for a week. Yeah. He's already put it down on the result.
Can we get Pete on every week?
We can, yeah, because he talks sense. He might take your spot.
Happily, I'll happily make room for him. Don't you worry about that, Chris.
Yeah, no, but I mean, Reece Williams, look, he's a young lad. He's not ready. But if he's not ready and Ben Davies still can't even get on the bench, smacks of Christ almighty, what on earth did we sign in him? So as much as people don't want him there, I think Fabinho's going to have to go centre-back because I couldn't see Reece Williams against Rashford. It just looked like carnage to me. But what do you think, mate? You're on with the positive. Is this where we go 4-0 Liverpool?
No, so the games that Fabinho has played in defence in the league, I think we've only won 1 game. We've drawn 3 and lost 4 or 5
since Christmas.
It's shocking. And look, you brought a defender in where others, like Neil Mellor, ex-players like John Welsh were saying Ben Davies is a good player. He probably can make the grade. Give him a chance. Just give him a chance. If it was a political signing, fair enough, but Klopp should suck it up and just play him, give him a go. What harm could it have done? We're in dire straits anyway, so just play Ben Davies. But I think we do see Fab back in midfield because I think Phillips is doing some individual training and should be okay for Sunday. I think tomorrow will be telling in the training on Saturday. I'm going opposite. I said on Carnage, I think we win. I think we'll win 3-1. I really do. I think we'll see goals, and he's trying to put Mane. He's trying to start Mane, and he's in this afterthought that he can play himself into form. I think he needs dropping more than anyone. Mane, I really do. I think he's out of sorts. I think maybe a good summer break, or if a good offer comes in, I would actually accept it. But he needs dropping at the moment. He's just shot of confidence. We saw that against Newcastle. But no, I think we'll win 3-1. I really, really do. That we'll turn it on, and we'll put, it'll all but confirm City winning the league this weekend.
Yeah, Steve Dufford says, Reece played when we beat Spurs. He did, but we also had a mobile Henderson and Fabinho. Fabinho, we had probably more experience available then than we do now. We actually had We actually had a Firmino who could score goals. There's another thing. I agree with what you said about Manny. He's probably need to drop him for a little while. Unfortunately, the last 5 games, Jota has stunk the place out. I mean, I know it's very popular to have a go at Manny, and it's very popular to have a go at Bobby because they're the easy ones to target. But against Newcastle, Jota looked like he'd won a prize. He just looked like a prize winner. It's like watching me play football, which is honestly something you don't want to see. It was just, he couldn't pass a ball 2 yards. Look, it happens. All players have. I think that's the problem. It is Salah up front with, and it's literally flip a coin now, some of the lads. Because people criticise Klopp for not playing Chamberlain and Keita and people like that. But the problem with them is
he
don't trust them. But there's a reason he doesn't trust them is when we've needed them this year, they're not fit. And now they're fit, but it's like, well, yeah, but everything's gone now. So it's a bit like, I think Klopp's just playing players he trusts because I think the likes of Keita and Chamberlain I think they're up the door. By the way,
I wouldn't mind playing Ox in the front 3 on Sunday. Jota on the left, Ox on the right, and Salah through the middle. I think he should just try it. We've got nothing to lose. I mean, Klopp, if anything, if he's given up truly on top 4, which I don't think he has, but with 5 games to go, just go with the jugular. Just try something new. It might come off for us, and going into the new season. But he needs to make a decision because Fabin's centre back. It's literally killing us. It's literally killed.
Yeah.
It has killed us. It's killed our chances of getting top 4 or doing anything in Europe.
Yeah, I think Kieran Doyle's asking, what does Genie offer now? Genie offers availability. And do you know what? That's not sexy. That's not fun. And the reason to me Genie looks so crap at the moment is he's been running to the ground. But the reason he's running to the ground is the only other lad we've got who I can rely on is 45-year-old James Milner. James Milner's brilliant. He does what he does.
He's younger than I thought.
Yeah, but you can't keep relying on James Milner to dig you out the shit. This should be the time where James Milner was doing what United did with Giggs, which is you bring him off the last 20s to close games out, or you give him cup games. We're still going to James Milner as our backup to go, please win us the game, which I don't think is fair on him. And I think that's where the problem is. Listen, I hate these games. It won't matter if Liverpool top the league or bottom of the league. I hate us going to Old Trafford. I've got a hopeful 1-1. I don't think we've won at Old Trafford since Rodgers was in charge. And even then, I think, that was an anomaly. So I've gone for a hopeful 1-1. But, stranger things have happened this year, haven't they? So never rule anything out. Right. That's the boring predictions out of the way. Oh, sorry. Quick one. One word answer. You want to watch this week? I've gone for Conser. Avi, what did you want to watch? Can't say Minamino, he's already played. Not that you'd notice.
I'm going to go with Emile Smith-Rowe of Arsenal.
Cool. Pete, who have you got for your one to watch?
If he starts, Aguero's he's gonna score a hat trick before the end of the season, surely. So if he starts, Aguero, but if not, it's the dancing Manson Maximan.
Cool.
Oh, I like that.
I like that. That's brilliant. Matt, who have you got?
I've gone for a bad one to watch this week. Someone's not going to have a very good day, and it's Aaron Ramsdale.
Aaron Ramsdale.
He's done that for a fucking joke, isn't he? Well, you've done that for a laugh, haven't you?
Oh, that's what I love to see.
He's going to be terrible.
Right, so I set the guys a bit of a task. I said, let's pick a Premier League 11 only based on this year's form. So that means no Van Dijks because he only played 5 games. But the kick was you're only allowed to pick a max of 1 player from each club. So what I thought we'd do is we've all got our own teams. So what I thought is because we nearly always have Matt and Pete on. We normally have someone from Leeds TV, Joe or Oscar, and we normally have Conan from Villa. So we would likely, if we're all on the show, try and get at least 1 player from our teams in. So I think we all say who we'd pick from those teams, and then we'll try and cobble a team together. So let's start with Leicester. So for Leicester, for the team I've picked, I had Justin, who I think has been fabulous this year, whether he's right back or left back. And it's just so cruel the injury he got because he was probably a dark horse for, eventually pushed himself for an England place. I think he's been the most consistent fullback I've seen this season. So, Avi, what have you got for Leicester? Have you got any Leicester players first?
Yep, I've gone with Kelechi Iheanacho. Just simply, I think what Rodgers has done with him is exactly similar to what he did with Sturridge, arm around the shoulder after January. And he's been scoring some crucial goals, got them into the final. Scored some goals when Vardy was injured and consolidated them up in third. So, yeah, he's my Leicester player of the season.
Matt, who have you got? Have you got a Leicester player for a start?
I have, and I've gone with Wesley Fofana. I think an incredible signing, not just in terms of the quality he's had, but the astute business to get him in, the incredible scouting work from Leicester, and he's been fantastic. He's been everything a lot of teams have been missing.
Okay.
Sure.
And Pete, our Leicester fan, who have you gone for?
Well, the player I've gone for is probably going to be player of the season. It would have been Justin before he got injured. It would have been Barnes then, but then he got injured. But I've gone for Youri Tielemans, who's just been amazing. He's improved this season from having a great season last season, but also his fitness has improved. He's played pretty much every game. And I think in terms of creative midfielder, as a number 8 in the Premier League, he's arguably the best, if not one of the best, probably behind De Bruyne, you obviously say. But I think Youri Tielemans has had a sensational season. On the quiet as well, he's been absolutely exceptional.
Took the words out of my mouth there because he's found an engine this season. He can go beyond 60 now. You know, that was his problem even at Monaco. He just huffed and puffed. But no, good shout there.
It's how can a good player also, how can a really, really good player get better? Well, he's done that. And then last season, he did it again. And this year, he's done it again. And he's Leicester's most important player. He is an exceptional player. He's the best player at the club. And he's had a brilliant year. So, Tielemans.
The only other shouts I've seen is... Oh, Ndidi. Ndidi's Rajiva's put Ndidi. What we'll do is we'll take all our players first from our clubs, and then I think then we'll have a bit of a fight over what our 11s are. So, Tottenham. First of all, have you got a Tottenham player, Avi?
I have. I was torn between Højbjerg, who I think he's superb, absolutely superb player, and Son, but I've gone with the Korean Son.
Gone for Son.
I think another consistent season, got some good numbers up, played really well early on, and I just love his passion for the game. You saw his tears last weekend, and you know every game matters to him. So I love that in a player. So yeah, Son for me.
Pete, who have you got?
I've gone for Harry Kane. I think if you look at the season overall, I think Kane, in terms of their forwards, other players have had purple patches, but as a consistent level, goals scored, it's Harry Kane. And also, looking at the other teams in the Premier League as well and their forwards, he would still get in my forward line for team of the season. So, Harry Kane.
Okay. Red Steve says Eric Dyer. Okay. I have also gone for Harry Kane, as much as I've been winding Matt up. I have gone for Harry Kane. Højbjerg, I do think, has been a very good signing, but look, Kane does what he does. He just bangs in goals. Matt, I'm assuming you've gone for Harry Kane, or have you gone for Hugo Lloris because he's a very honest captain?
Just putting on the door.
I never thought I could get more angry at Avi, but Heung-min Son is not consistent. I've said this about him for so long. His numbers are incredible, but he is a purple patch player. He's the type of player that will score 10 goals in 10 games, then not score for 10 games, and then he's 10 and 20, a goal every 2, and it looks really good. He is a purple patch player. He was the worst player on the pitch on Sunday, and the worst part is it didn't surprise me to some extent. Højbjerg as well, earlier on in the season, incredible. He's petered away in the last couple of months. But Harry Kane, he's player of the season for me, beyond any doubt. In a team that is struggling, that is like crumbling through to the end of the season, Kane has been utterly incredible. And if we go with anyone other than him, there'll be problems.
Okay, so well, I'm not sure you're going to fly to California to get him, are you?
I have a plan in place. Don't worry.
It's only for charity. He's always welcome. He knows I love him.
Okay, cool. Right, so Conan isn't here, and if there is, Conan normally appears in the chat to make sure we're not selling his players. So we'll go with Villa. Now I'll go first with Villa player. I with 2, but I've gone with Martinez because I think he's been the most consistent keeper this year. So the other one was Grealish, which is very obvious, and Konsa was a shout, but for me it was Martinez. So that's what I've put for Villa. Pete, have you got a Villa player?
Yes, I have, and it's between those two, but I've gone for Jack Grealish. I think if you go back to when Grealish was playing, he made himself, with his performances in the Premier League, he made himself, for me, a first-team England starter. That level of form can't be ignored. Martinez has been a brilliant signing. Just waned off the last 10 games or so. Martinez has started to make some errors that led to goals. So I've gone for Grealish because I've got a different goalkeeper as well. So
okay, good. Matt, who have you got?
I've got Emi Martinez. I didn't even think to put Jack Grealish in. Obviously, he crossed my mind, but Martinez was the first name down there for me. He's been incredible, and look, he has made some mistakes. I think earlier in the season as well, he'd one or two dodgy games. But I'd sit here and I struggle to think of a keeper who doesn't make mistakes now. It's so weird the way the goalkeeping game has gone. Every single keeper, no matter how good they are, seems to have a few errors in them. But Emi Martinez is the reason Villa were up in those European places for so long. So it's a no-brainer for me.
Okay, Avi.
Yeah, Emiliano Martinez, great season, and there was a problem at Arsenal because he used to be so inconsistent. He'd make some fabulous saves, but he's doing the simple things correct, and that sometimes is key for a goalkeeper. Do the simple things correctly, and then your other things will follow with your hand reactions and whatnot. But yeah, Martinez for me.
It's the effect he's had on the defence as well, on his own displays. It's the effect he's had on that defence, and he's made them all better without them really needing to change anything round dramatically, and that's important. But he's still not in the team.
Yeah, so some would say Arsenal let the wrong keeper go, but that's
definitely
that's a debate. That's a debate for
100%.
another time. Right now, because he's not here, and he also threatened me in the WhatsApp group. What Leeds player we got in? So Avi, what Leeds player have you got in?
Steady Eddie, Luke Ayling, as a fullback. I think he's done a good job. He's acclimatized to the Premiership really well. Fitness levels are incredible, just like with any Bielsa team. So Luke Ayling.
Good. Matt, who have you got? Have you got a Leeds player for a start?
I have half a Leeds player because one of my centre midfielders, I'm not sure between this player and another one. And even now, just looking at it, I'm thinking I could have squeezed in Rafinha, but I haven't. The one I have in centre mid in one of the holding positions is Calvin Phillips, and again, not even guaranteed to be in my team because there's another name there I think could potentially make it in. But he's just a solid player. I think he's everything you want in a holding midfielder. I think perfectly complements Matthijs Klick in there. And I have been critical of Leeds midfield this season because I think they can go missing at times, but when they play, they're a really tough team to contend with. And when you have someone like N'Golo Kante saying it's the most physically demanding team he's ever played against, I think you have to listen.
Cool. And I also have Phillips. I just think he's been very, very, very good. Brilliant. Rafinha has also been very good, but obviously the forwards I've picked a difference. Pete, have you got a Leeds player?
I do have a Leeds player. I think Bamford's been overlooked. He's had a brilliant season, really, to score the goals. I don't think anyone thought he was going to have the season that he's had. But the correct answer is Rafinha. He's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. It could have been a season because he's missed a few chances, but if he just scored a few more goals, he could have been right up there for, not talking about player of the year, but he would have been a signing of what many of the big clubs in the Premier League or many of the clubs looking to sign a player like Rafinha should be going for. I don't think they will do. I think he'll stay at Leeds, but he's been sensational. And I think it could have even been better. And I think he will be next year. He's an electric player and he's straight in my side. I think he's had a fantastic first season. And it could have gone wrong because the first few games, you just thought, hang on, is he just not going to adjust to the Premier League? And all of a sudden, bang. And he did. And he's their best player for me.
Cool. Right. Liverpool. So for me, I'll go first. It was piss easy if you've got to pick a Liverpool player. It's Salah because he's the only one who's showed levels of consistency and he's one off the golden boot. So he's in the golden boot rate every year. He's the only one who's kept his levels up for me. I know he's had his moments, but to me, if you're second in the goal scoring charts, a goal off top, Salah to me seems a pretty routine choice. Avi?
Yeah, Mo Salah again. Look, he's got 20 again this season. I still don't think he was in top form. There were some games where he was really inconsistent, but he's found that form. He scores goals, and he's the only one you could say has turned up for us, really. I know Fabinho here and there, he had done well. Robertson early on, Trent's been a little bit inconsistent. Alisson's had some great games and some bad games, but Salah overall for me, Mo Salah.
Cool. Matt?
I haven't gone for a Liverpool player in my team.
You.
I've gone for Salah. I've got Salah. Of course I've got Salah.
Chris, get him off.
I've got Salah. It's
just wait to hear Pete's. Pete.
Honestly, I don't have a Liverpool player. I don't have a Liverpool player. The player obviously would have been Mo Salah, but I've got a different player in my forward line. I've already mentioned two players in my forward line, so I've only got one more. And it was a way up between that player and Mo Salah. And overall, I just think if you look at the position of the two clubs and from the start of the season to now, numbers-wise, he's obviously scored plenty of goals, but I just think I've gone for this other player. And as you guys mentioned, there's no other Liverpool player who deserves to be in this team of the season with one player from each club. So I've not got a Liverpool player, honestly.
What are they smoking up there in Leicester?
I'll tell you. Right. So before we go for our individual teams, so goalkeeper-wise, we've got 3 of us went for Martinez, didn't we? So by rule of average, Martinez is the keeper, I would say.
Yes.
Who was your keeper?
I went with Sam Johnson, and I think he's had a brilliant season for West Brom. I think it's very easy for a goalkeeper who gets relegated to have a decent season because you see them make save after save after save, even if they concede 3 goals. I think this guy is a player who should be on the hit list of a lot of clubs in the Premier League. I think he's had a really good season. He's a modern keeper, but I think he's a very solid keeper as well. He would be ideal. For instance, if Schmeichel was going to leave, he would be an ideal signing for City. I think he's had a brilliant year, but mainly because I went with Grealish over Martinez because he would have been the
okay.
You've got Danny Ward anyway in the bench, haven't you, Pete?
Yes, and he's just on a new deal, actually, surprisingly. So he's going to stay.
Right. Harry Kane. 3 of us went for Kane. Avy just had to lie down somewhere, so Kane's in. Salah. 3 of us have said Salah. Pete hasn't, so Salah is also in, and because it's a Liverpool podcast and it's my show, I was making sure the player was in. So
do you want to know who my other striker was then?
Not really.
Right.
go for shits and giggles. Go on.
I just weighed up, and I know he's had injury problems and he's slightly gone off, but you can't underestimate what a breakout first few months really. Calvert-Lewin. He's had a really good season overall. I think recently it's taken a downturn, but I think if you weigh it up from the disappointment of Mo Salah and Liverpool, I would just look at the first 4 months of the season. He's now playing for England. He was absolutely on fire, way above what Mo Salah was doing, way above that, and that just edges clear. I think if you look back for that first 4 months, he was electric. He was arguably the best player in the league for a few months, let alone for Everton. So I've gone for Calvert-Lewin if you base it on the entire season.
I think he's had a shocker. I think he's had a shocker there.
I think Calvert-Lewin's had a good season. I don't think he's above the other 2 players, and the chat has just exploded. Avy, which made the chat explode more? Picking Calvert-Lewin over Salah, or Conan's my favourite game for Villa is when we beat Liverpool in the FA Cup semi-final, which, to be honest, I still think is my favourite heelish moments in the show.
He watches that every weekend as well, Conan does.
He does.
He
He sends me the gif of it every week. Cheers, Bill. Okay, so Martinez is locked in. Salah and Kane are locked in. The rest we'll have a bit of a fight over because we all had only 2 of us had the same Leeds player, so we'll have a fight over that. And we all had a different Leicester player.
No, you can't. You can't do it.
Your Leeds player?
Yeah.
Who's your Leeds player?
Can I change it from Phillips to Rafinha?
Yes, here we go.
I've made a mistake.
Okay, but like we said, there's only 2, so we'll still have a fight over it. So what we'll do is, Avy, what was your team? And then
so my team was Martinez in goal, Ayling as a fullback, Tarkowski from Burnley, another steady season for him. Ruben Diaz, absolutely sensational. When fit, Kieran Tierney, absolutely, I think he's been a boss left back. My midfield 3 was my man James Ward-Prowse, who I rate really highly, just energetic. His levels are just brilliant. Fernandes, obviously for United. And then obviously big fan of Yves Bissouma. And then my front 3 were Salah, Inacho, and Son. I repeat, no Calvert-Lewin in there.
But you've gone for a man who's had a purple patch up front. Fair enough. Okay, Matt, what was yours?
By the way, I was fully expecting him to say Minamino at some point there. I'm surprised it didn't happen. But I've Emi Martinez in goal, Tariq Lamptey in right back. I know he's been injured for quite a while, but incredible beginning to the season. One of my centre backs is Fofana. Then I had Thiago Silva, but I've changed that to Ruben Diaz just because I forgot about him. Left back then Kieran Tierney as well. In the centre mid, I'm still not quite sure about this. It's between Jorginho and Bissouma, but I think I'm going to go with Bissouma just because of the way it complements Souček in there as well, and then Bruno Fernandes in the attacking midfield role, and then front 3 Salah, Kane, and what was Phil Foden is now Rafinha.
Okay. Right. Pete, what was your 11?
The correct team is Sam Johnson in goal. I've gone with a back three. Terrible Arsenal season, but I think Tierney's had a good season. Diaz should be player of the year, so he's in the centre. And I've gone with Cresswell from West Ham, who's had a really good season. Plenty of assists for plenty of goals for West Ham. Really, really good player. The midfield, I've gone for Fernandes from Manchester United. That was just because it could have been Shaw. But I've gone with Fernandes just over Shaw because he could have gone in defence. The midfield continues with Yuri Tillemans, Rafinha, as I mentioned, and at Chelsea, Mason Mount. I think he's had a really good season for Chelsea, and he gets in my team. And then the forward three, I've got Grealish, Kane, and Calvert-Lewin.
Probably not the correct team, but never mind. Okay, right. My team, what did I have? I had Martinez in goal, back four of Justin, Diaz, Tierney, and I went for Godfrey of Everton, just because I think he's adapted really well at Everton, and basically wherever he plays in their defence, he looks good. And then I've gone for three of Mount, Phillips, and Souček from West Ham, and then playing Bruno Fernandes in the 10, and then Kane and Salah as a 2. So that's what I had. So going through the teams, we all had Tierney and we all had Ruben Diaz. So quite easy, they're in. So so now we're gonna have a bit of a fight over right back. So right back so far we've got Ayling, Lamptey. You haven't got a right back, Pete, and I've got James Justin. So
it's got to be Ayling. He's had a full season.
If we got two people fighting it out for Rafinha, though, can we afford to waste a Leeds player?
So that's the question. We'll come back to that. Who's got a partner Diaz? So I've got Ben Godfrey. Who have we got here? We've got Cresswell as the other option. Fofana, but then we have Fofana. It feels like Justin. And who did you have for your other? Oh, yeah, Tarkowski. Tarkowski. Okay. Oh, sorry. The other one we all had Bruno Fernandes. Sorry, which is fair enough. So Fernandes is in because I think we all had Fernandes. And midfield, we've got two people with Basuma, and I think two of us had Souček as well. So two of us had Mount. So we could go over midfield of Mount. You could have Mount in there. Souček is an option for there, but that's not a very balanced midfield.
Yeah, got to be Basuma and Souček.
It's got to be Basuma, Ward-Prowse, and Fernandes. That's a great midfield three.
No, I'm saying if we go like you're the only person who said Ward-Prowse. That's what I'm saying. So I think I've said Mount, and so has Pete. So I've got 2 votes for Mount. I've said Souček, and so has Matt.
I said that. Yeah.
Yeah, Basuma. You and Matt have said Basuma, so we've all got 2 each. So if we're sticking to 4-3-3, or are we going to change the system to do Kane and Sal's a 2 and play Fernandes as a 10? And then you can put 3 midfielders in, is the other option.
Yeah, and if you do that, and if you pick Basuma because he was picked by 2, then he can just basically anchor 2 other players. It doesn't matter who they are.
So you have Basuma as the holding midfielder, so the argument would be you'd say Souček and Mount, because 2 of us said Souček, 2 of us said Mount.
Yeah.
Are we happy with that?
Yeah, seems fair.
Okay, which then means there's no Leeds player in midfield, which means I'm going to get a very angry phone call later off Joe.
That means that Ayling can go at the back, and also Fofana as well could be there as well.
Yeah, so that's a question then. What do we do as
Lamptey.
fullbacks? Yeah, but Lamptey is a good shout. And I've had James Justin, and then we just pick somebody else. He probably would be, actually. He gives a free kick option. So let's look at some of these other teams. Oh, Dan Jay's got a team out for us. Let's see. Martinez, Kufal from West Ham, which is a good shout. Diaz, Godfrey, enough for Godfrey. Luke Shaw, again, had a good season. Rafinha, Basuma, Tillemans, Saka, erratic, but he's a very talented lad. Salah and Kane. So,
who's the manager for this team?
Jose Mourinho.
Oh, we'll fight over that in a minute.
I won't be fighting for that, don't worry.
Yeah, that's all right. Nobody will be fighting with Jose Mourinho after his antics after leaving. Ugh, less said about that, the better. Anyway, so we've down. So it's just now who we're gonna have right back. We could ask the chat, I suppose, as well. So you guys, what do we think for right back at the moment? We've got Ayling, we've got Lamptey, we've got James Justin at the moment. They're the three.
Lamptey is out because we've got Basuma.
Lamptey's out, so we're down to Ayling or James Justin. Unless someone in the chat can think of somebody else.
It would have been easy. It would have been
James
easy,
Justin. James Justin could go left or right back.
Left, right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Another reason to pick him.
Also, just to go back to James Justin though, like when he got injured, he was not in line for an England call up because Leicester is. He was really nailed on, I thought, for an England Euro squad place because of his versatility. This guy went from level to level to level, and he wasn't stopping at all. So I would have no problem with him going in there. How he's going to come back from his injury, I don't think we'll see him until the new year. It's really sad, but he was just going from. He hadn't stopped improving. It was unbelievable. It was by the game. So yeah,
scored a cracker in the cup. Scored a cracker in the cup as well, didn't he?
Yeah, they moved him to the left and he cut in and scored. And it was a kind of a moment where you look around and go, this guy's he's better than we all thought. And the Luton boys, they were all saying, the manager's saying he's going to play for England, no problem at all. They were absolutely convinced. So
cool. Right in the chat, we've had shouts on Matty Cash. He's a good shout, but we've already got Martinez. Kufal, good shout, but we've got Souček, so he's out. Matt Doherty, I think someone's trolling us there. And then it has been a bit of a split. Some for Ayling, some for Justin. Okay, so the other option then is Bellerin.
Walker Peters ain't been bad.
I was just going to throw that name in the ring. Yeah,
Walker Peters, he's been good.
Has he been better than the other two though? Is a question. So the other question then is, if we can't decide yet on that, is what do we do for centre back to partner Diaz? So far we've got Ben Godfrey, Tarkowski, Fofana, or you could play a full back at centre back, which I don't think. If we're going to play four at the back, I don't think it's going to work.
It's got to be Tarkowski. Fofana's been incredible though, but that's you taking out another Leicester player.
I would actually. I know it's a player that no one's mentioned yet, but I think Ben Mee has been more influential for Burnley because when he was missing, they went missing, and then he came back, and it solidified their defence. So maybe Mee was the better option, even though Tarkowski I think is the better player. But this season it might be Mee, which would be really weird putting him in the side. But there you go. Dan J has gone for Vestergaard. Not a bad shout. He's got the air of a hippier about him in his style of play. So. Couple for Tarkowski. Fofana, I mean, I must admit, I ummed and ahed Fofana or Justin. It was the two I went between. And I just couldn't Ayling and Fofana get in the side then? That would...
Yeah, we could do that if we want to do that.
That's solid.
And plus then it stops me getting shouted out by Joe.
Oh no, take him out. If it makes Joe happy, take him out.
Well, no, it won't make Joe happy because Joe wants Calvin Phillips. So the fact we picked Basuma over Calvin Phillips is, I'm still going to get a very angry WhatsApp, I'm sure. But someone from Leeds should be in. I think Leeds have been a bit of a fresh air this year. Rajiv's put in Anderson from Fulham. I mean, he's a good shout because I must admit, since he's moved to Fulham defensively, they've looked better. He's a good defender. He's someone who, if Fulham do go down, I'll be amazed that the Premier League club doesn't go in for him. Shouts for Reece James. I mean, we actually haven't got a Chelsea player.
Mount.
We've got Mount.
Have we got? We have got Mount. I keep forgetting about it. Thank God for that. Imagine we didn't get a Chelsea player now.
I think Phillips is a really good shout, but the thing is with obviously we've got Ayling and Rafinha, but Phillips is in the Grealish camp for me. He's that player who has been so good. He's nailed his place in the England side, really, to be perfectly honest. If Rice ain't now, he's nailed in first team for England. Who would have thought that?
Calvin Phillips
at the start of the season,
over Jordan Henderson.
Well, at the time of recording, it's
Phillips,
hasn't
No, I think I think that's a viable what you've said. I think it is. It just depends if Jordan Henderson isn't fit, then Calvin Phillips should be the next in line. Yeah.
It's amazing how these players have gone from there. Yeah. I know he was in the England squad when Leeds were in the Championship, I believe, but to go from there to there in one season, pretty good stuff.
I think because the squad's been extended to 26, if Henderson can just prove that he's basically fit, not even match fit,
he's in.
I think he'll take him and Rice, which is always the England thing of taking lads coming back from injury. But I think maybe they go for the first couple of games going, it's Phillips and it's one of the other two lads next to him until they prove fitness, and then you just basically go with who's in best form or go with experience. Because again, Rice, he's touch and go and he's come back from a knee injury. So, but it's good that England have the options. Ward-Prowse many other years would have got in a shoe for the England squad. He's probably not even going to get in the squad. So, right, so that was fun again. So we've gone with a team of Martinez in goal, Ayling at right back, Fofana and Diaz in the middle, Tierney at left back, and then we go for a midfield 4-diamond of Bissouma, Mount, Souček and Bruno Fernandes, and then up front, Salah and Kane. Easy top 4 side, that, isn't it? Not sure. Might struggle against City, but who doesn't these days? So all fun and games.
Who's on the bench then? Who's the manager?
Who's the manager? Oh, someone's put Southgate. That could be chits and giggles, couldn't it? Well, let's think. Who's had the best season manager-wise? Pep's a shout in there.
He's had the money. For me, it's got to be Dean Smith. For me, I just love him. I think he's
only one manager has won all of his Premier League games this season.
Yes, but
Mason.
Yeah, but how did he do?
Record?
Yeah, apart from the biggest game of your season.
No, this is a Premier League team.
I think if West Ham get in the top 4, the answer will be
David Moyes.
But generally, I know it's not Premier League, but if Leicester finish 3rd and win the FA Cup,
Brendan,
it's going to be tough. Yeah, that's a fabulous season. So,
shall we make Rodgers manager? Because if I'm upsetting the Leeds fan TV, I may as well upset Gav as well. I may as well go full hog. So should we put Rodgers as manager
on the bench? Yeah.
Don't be surprised if I'm hosting next week, lads. I think back is under suspension.
I doubt it. You probably go gallivanting somewhere again.
What you got to do now? You got to have 3 envelopes for next week. Then, yeah, is that?
Yeah. They all say Avy. Don't worry. Cool. So actually, I think we've done right with that team. I suppose put Moyes has overachieved with that squad, which is fair. It is a big shout. Someone has put Big Sam. Interesting shout.
The wine bill will be too high. So fine.
The only England manager with a 100% win record, Big Sam. Do not sleep on
exactly. You can't ignore that.
That's true. That's true. And so to put Ryan Mason has a 100% losing record in cup finals, which is also an accurate.
So did Pochettino.
Low blow, that is.
Wait, but do you want him back?
Poch?
Yeah.
Any day of the week.
Yeah, it's almost like you got rid of him too soon, wasn't it? Oh, so he's put Tommy Tuchel as assistant manager. Fucking hell, can you imagine? If I put Tommy Tuchel as assistant manager, Gav will never let me on this show again. Honest to God. Cool. Right, before we go, Pete, tell everyone where they can find you.
Find us, for fuck's sake, on how you listen to podcasts, whatever device and whatever app, and on Twitter at FFSPod. Nice and easy.
Excellent. And Matt, where can people find your happy face?
Brilliant name.
It is a fantastic name. I'm Matt Hayes, Tottenham Blog on YouTube, as it's written there below me. You can find me crying about all the managers we miss out on over the next week or so, or on Twitter at Matt Hayes THFC.
Cool. And how are you getting subscribers, man? Have you gone past a milestone recently?
We passed 6,500, if we can count that as a milestone.
Top stuff.
Well done, mate. Avy, you're just always here, like a bad smell.
Yeah, like a rat.
So, have we got a carnage this week with you, my friend?
We actually do have a carnage, and then obviously Friday forecast, and then I've got a week off. Thank you for signing off my holidays.
Yeah, it's all right. It's like, God, the chat's gone wild now. A week off without Avy. So maybe we should put a poll out. Who should replace Avy for a week? That could be interesting, couldn't it? I'm not sure I might like the answers. So, cool. Well, listen. Cheers, guys, for coming on again. Guys in the chat, thank you again. Your support is appreciated. Let's get ourselves to 10K. And please, on the Discord group, send us your teams, and we can have a look and just see who's got the best idea. And obviously, if you're not sure on Pete's idea of picking Dominic Calvert-Lewin over Salah, you know where to find him now on social media. So good. Listen, though, thanks again for tuning in for us. So we have the Fat Back Four back on Sunday. And then we'll have a forum again on Monday. Jim will be back midweek with his midweek fix. And then I will be back next Friday with these guys. Speak to you all very, very soon.